Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am your host, JT Matthews at JT Matthews01, and I am here with the illustrious Dr. Nicholas Manning at DR__ and Manning on Twitter. How's it going, Doc? How you doing?
It's nice outside today, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna run with it. Yeah, that's I don't have anything. Good. It was good. It was good work day. Killed some meetings. Just doing what I do. Wake up in the morning, piss excellence.
Yeah, I'm off today, so that's nice. And then I'm off the rest of the week, which is good.
Yeah, that's dope.
And I get to escape from my children for 3.5 days, which sounds kind of mean, but also I think it's great. So
yeah,
I'm open to any judgment people are willing to heap on me for that. My kids are great. I love them, but I also need some space. So
can't miss them if they're never gone.
Yeah, or I'll just remove myself and then they'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Well, we are joined by a special guest today.
Some would say the specialist.
The most special. Is the specialist? Is that a doctoral term?
Yeah. Yep. You get it when you take the test.
All right. Well, we have the specialist guest. You may know her from the Let's Talk Broncos podcast. We are joined today by Bree Mastis. I'll just add her. I don't know. We don't do this that often. Hi, Bree.
Hi. You don't have guests that often, or?
No.
That's why I'm here. Well, thanks for the invitation.
I usually let the doc click the buttons.
I'm a button.
Okay. Let me tell you guys how much I empathize with that, because over on
it's a little rough.
Oh, you're fine. And on Let's Talk Broncos, it's the same thing, right? So as the driver, as the producer, as the person who clicks all the buttons, nothing drives me more mad than when the other people who have access to the shows click the buttons. My partner is notorious for, when I'm going and trying to drive the show, to just start highlighting comments that have no applicability. He just wants to fuck with the process. And so there's that. And then you got the Let's Talk Broncos guys who just love to throw stuff in there and try to take me off my game. So I get the button push thing, especially the start end stream. That's a lot of work.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I let the doctor in the stream because I will, I'll end it and then he'll end it, which will restart it, and then it becomes a whole thing.
Yep.
Bree, how are you
We're
doing?
glad you're here.
Things are going great. Professionally, the off season is always really slow. So you're wondering, when is the next thing that's going to happen? Obviously, prepping for a podcast right after you guys. So you guys are kind of the appetizer. I would say the main course. Let's do this as main course. Appetizer was the day. The day's been beautiful. Doc already alluded to it's been nice outside, which is finally why I look like I didn't crawl out from under a rock today, because I'm actually happy that it's springtime. So I've got my entree going on right now, and then LTB is going to be dessert later on with the That's Good Sports people. You can see me repping the merch right here. We'll be on with Brandon Perna here at 4 p.m. So the day's been great. I can't complain. Personal life, fantastic. Just good. Life's good.
We heard you have an event coming up for the draft. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Let's Talk Broncos, in partnership with our contributors, Mario Vitanzi. We're throwing a draft watch party, both in person and streamed online. So you'll be able to access the content, watch us watch the draft live, and commentate on it over at our YouTube page. That's over Let's Talk Broncos. You can find all of our links on letstalkbroncos.com. But we'll be at the Rock Bar and Grill. We'll have the whole patio space. Anyone who's in the area is allowed to attend. If you're not in the area and you're traveling in, thank you so much for the support. But we'll be there. It's about 6-ish. I think we actually started like 5:45, and then we'll be there until everybody kind of traipses away. And being at a wonderful restaurant that the Rock is, I think it'll be a fun time to just sit around, enjoy people's company, meet some people that we haven't met before, and really just take all of this in with all of you. I think the most important thing to note about the draft is no matter how much we speculate, and we're constantly running through these avenues of what's the team going to do, how is the board going to fall, at the end of the day, we can never truly predict it. So that'll be the fun part. When you guys know that it's just, we do all this stipulation and what could happen, and honestly it starts falling the other way. And that's what I'm excited about, because I get to do that with all of my friends and all of our viewers. So that'll be a fun experience.
Yeah, the draft is anything but predictable. So, we think we got it figured out, and then they swerve on us, and then it ruins all of our projections, which are probably, it's a pretty faulty process to begin with.
Yeah, it's like doing a NCAA bracket. It's like when you start it or when you think you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna nail it, and then your team loses and NC State gets fined. You're like, what the?
Whoa! I feel like you're talking for the group here. Both my pools are going strong. I have Purdue still in it, so I'm with. Let's Talk Broncos pool right now. I'm winning another one that my brother's in. So now listen, honestly it is. It's all fucking luck, and I don't have any business doing this, but it is. It's nice to bask in some glory because everyone else gets their shots in.
Hey, if luck or not, it's in the end. What did you produce? What did you produce? Right. Purdue apparently
winning.
I should winning
championships. It's championships. It's really unfair. Who's stopping Zach Edey? Like, I don't know. UConn, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, the guy's like cutting down the net without the ladder. Like, he didn't even bother to take a step on it. It's just.
I'm going to steal a line from Joey's book. He always says tall for no reason. And after basketball, it's really no reason.
Really, it's like you better use that. You better use it while you got it, because, making pants in your size is super hard. So JT knows what's up.
I'm not even that tall, and that's too real. I know what's up. Well, we're going to talk lots of Broncos. We're going to talk about the draft and all of that. Let's start with some local teams that are how should we say? Well, one is in first place. The other, they're good. They're real good.
Right.
One's in first place. The Denver Nuggets are in first place in the West, holding on by half a game. How fun has this stretch been? We've lost some games recently, but we had Victor Wembanyama versus Jokic last night. Jokic put up 42 points. I think 15 or 16 rebounds, 6 assists. Wembanyama almost had a quadruple double. I had not really even heard mentioned with positive. I've heard that mentioned before with like someone who's had almost like 10 turnovers, but never actually positive stats.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about the Nuggets as of today? I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm just going to start with Bree.
That's an interesting question, considering I feel like the season went by so quickly. Only made it to a couple of games myself. I know there's only a handful left. I believe 1 or 2 more here in Colorado. So got to change that. But that's what's lucky about having a long extended playoff run. Fingers crossed. And actually, I don't feel very superstitious about it, because this is exactly where they thrive. I don't see a team in the East or the West that's going to be able to beat them in a 7-game series. And so I think the answer to your question is that I'm feeling really confident about this team. I know there's been injuries. I know there's a question mark surrounding Jamal Murray and whether or not he's going to be ready to go when the time comes. But I think that's the idea of resting all of these players presently as it stands, because they will have longer series against some of these teams. Looking at the standings, looking at the West, I know that it's looking questionable for where the Timberwolves fall. Eastern Conference, you've got the Celtics, but in the long run, I'm not really worried about them. Don't get me wrong, best team in the NBA, but the Bucks are kind of the team that I'm eyeing as a substantial foe for the Denver Nuggets and their hopes of repeating. But the confidence is not going to waver here. We've seen it with the Colorado Avalanche when we just anticipated that Stanley Cup win. And then the last season with the Denver Nuggets, we anticipated the same. It was the same feelings that were flourishing through the season. And so right now, I feel like it's only a matter of time. And I know that's how people get burned. But if you're not going in 100% positive like that, then it's a no. Then you don't have any hopes of that. So for the confidence for the Denver Nuggets, I'm feeling good about it as long as the team and the starting roster is healthy through the stretch. And so I think the importance of resting these players, beating out these really bad teams by double digits, I think all of that is super important because it maintains consistency. I've been impressed with the bench, though. I think a lot of those players could come in. I mean, I know Gillespie is not exactly the largest name, but even he is serviceable when there's a need there. The rotations have been questionable, but I think that we've all kind of learned that if you doubt Michael Malone, he's going to come back and show you exactly why you were foolish to do so. So a lot like the Denver Broncos, I want to draw some synergy there with it being a little bit different, but also being very similar of trusting that process. I think the Nuggets are really building up for a long stretch here in the postseason.
Yeah, Bree is optimistic. Doc, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm already gonna go start camping out for the parade spot. I know that the Phoenix, obviously we've talked about them being, that's really the matchup that concerns me because I think that they have the horses to really push the Nuggets. I think that will be the one series that's just a handful. I like Minnesota. I think that they caught the Nuggets on a bad day. So I feel pretty good about it. I don't think Boston, I don't think that they have an answer for Jokic. So I really don't even, I think the biggest challenge will come from the West. Milwaukee, I think, is a good team, but really outside of their big two, I think a lot of the play of some of the other guys has from Middleton and Lopez has really sank a bit. So I think for them, it's really, as long as they're a top 3 seed and healthy, they're the champ till someone dethrones them. And I struggle to see someone taking them 7 games, let alone upsetting them in a series. I just think Jokic has been too good. You saw last night when he decides to turn it on, which he did. He was sending a message to the young rook, like, you still got a little bit. And if he decides to do that in any game in the playoff run, the Nuggets are going to win. Look what he does, 42 points. And like when you're watching it, you didn't even realize that he had a season high in shot attempts because he's just so effective and he's good. He's not a volume guy, right? Who were we talking about the other day, JT, when they scored 42? They took 42 shots.
Oh yeah, it was for Atlanta. What's his name? The guard.
Oh, Murray.
Not Trae Young.
Yeah.
I'll think of it. Hold on. Yeah.
Murray. I could have scored 42 points if I take 42 shots. So he just doesn't play that kind of game.
Yeah.
And however, I'll preface all this if Jamal Murray isn't available in the playoffs and healthy, which is why I agree with Bree. You really got to maintenance that. He's got to be healthy going into the playoffs. So if they drop a couple over these last few weeks and drop to the 3 seed, so be it.
Yeah, I think it's still a little mystery of exactly what's going on with Jamal's injury or injuries. He came out, I think, it must be like seven games now. With what looked like an ankle, and then it was a knee on the injury report. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of evolves.
I wonder if they're going to go just straight like hockey and then just say like he's got a lower body injury.
Yeah, lower body.
They're just going to go like halves, like hockey.
You only know all those ligaments. They're all dependent on each other, and they're all useless in their very own right. So it could be a combination of a few things. I did want to shout out, got a text from a friend of all 3 of ours. Larry Reed is watching. He said, hello, Doc and JT. I don't know why he's not in the YouTube chat, but,
Oh, whatever. Yeah. What up, big guy? My man. You better be out here this year for a game. Just saying.
I know, right? We're gonna have to reconvene some way. The Nuggets to me are still the favorite. It's been shaky, kind of up and down towards the end of the season, but I could just keep reminding myself that last season felt the same way. Down the stretch, it was rough. Yep. They maintenance guys to make sure everyone was healthy going into the playoffs. The one thing I will say that I'm encouraged by is Christian Brown shooting the ball well right now, and he kind of had a struggle all season. To see him find his shot a little bit is nice. You can tell he's got some confidence. I wasn't worried about his contribution on defense, but offensively, they're going to have to hit some shots in the playoffs. Some of those role players, specifically Brown and Peyton Watson. And so that had me a little worried, but and I was a little worried about Dallas there for a minute. But Dallas beat us with the Kyrie floater. But then I was reminded that Dallas had like 23 more possessions than us in that game and had to win on a last second shot, and then it made me feel better. So Nuggets, I think, are squarely number one. How do we feel about Embiid coming back and a potential of Jokic Embiid finals if that happens?
I'm sure something miraculous would happen via an act of God that would prevent them from actually stepping on the court at the same time, because I feel like it's just set up to do so. Like if they were to both be on the court at the same time, locusts and a plague would follow. So I'm not holding out hope there. And honestly, I don't even want to see it at this point. It's gotten to the point of saturation where it's not even exciting anymore. I don't know if you guys know any wrestling cliches, but it's like when they push and push the idea of a match, and then like the match is going to happen, but it happens a year too late, and you're like, hey, but why are you doing this now? Because it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't, there's not a competition there. It's no longer who's MVP. Embiid is going to continue to do what he does, and that's not playing full seasons, and that's okay. I'm just not really concerned about seeing that matchup anymore because there's nothing to prove in that realm. There's not like a greatest of all time matchup. We have to see them by the time we end, or else the era is incomplete. And I don't know if that's just because I'm more casual in the NBA. Like I enjoy college basketball, but the NBA is like a fanfare for me, right? I don't talk about the Nuggets all too frequently, but I'm oversaturated with the conversation of Joel Embiid. And that's not to say he is not a good player, but yeah, show up and don't anymore. The talking point to me is overplayed.
Yeah, I don't even know like if he entered Colorado air, like if he would disintegrate, if he like I don't know. Maybe there's something like we don't know, like a wizard cast a spell on him, and if he turns into a pumpkin. So I don't know. And I also think that the league has fixed it, so he won't show up here. So it's fine. I would love it, man. I love it. I would love for them to lose 4-1 and then watch him cry as Jokic gets another trophy that he didn't get. I dig that. I don't think that they're equipped to come out of the East. I think he's a good player. I agree with Bree. I think it's Milwaukee has the best 2 players on a team, that best duo. I think that they can carry them if they play some good defense. Love to see Boston, just to watch Boston fans cry. That would be great. It'd be great. It's like watching them cry. AFC Championship games is like just fun.
Why do we hate greatness? Like, why are we predisposed to like hate on these dynasty, these fantastic teams of where you're like, I just want Boston to suck and I want them to cry and I want them to hurt. Yeah. It's like the same thing with like the New York teams. Yeah, so is it like a predisposed hate towards the central area of New England that you're just like, I could live without them?
Yeah, it developed in like 2003. Like once they started winning, they went from lovable losers. It's like Cubs fans now. Like, stop it. You're not snooty. You're Cubs fans. Like, chill out. I know the Rockies are like terrible, but like you're not like you were the lovable losers for a century. That's a long time.
So the first championship parade I ever went to was the Celtics in that first, like I can't even remember the year. It was 08 or 09. And
I love that team.
So did I, and I was so excited.
Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. Oh, loved it. That was great.
I saw KG holding the Larry O'Brien off the back of a fire truck.
Everything is possible.
It was fantastic. I mean, that goes down in infamy. Hating the fans, though, I guess, like after a while. But if I were there and those were my teams, I'd act the same damn way.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be annoying too.
In my way,
I'd be annoying too. But I'm not them, so they annoy me. Like Yankee fans, like I don't forget about it. I would be annoying too if I won like 27 World Series and like my team's always good. I'd be annoying too. Like Dodger fans, all 6 of them, like I would be annoying too if my owners had, billions instead of they own a meat packing plant and one is too drunk to show up to the games. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. He has an issue. Anyway.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be that fan now with the Nuggets. Like they're going to win back to back. Like we're going to go on a run. Oh yeah, I'm going to be snooty Nuggets fan for sure. Yep, my team's better than your team. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Like I'll poke at people and stuff. Flip people's hats when I walk by them on the street. Just kidding.
That's rude.
So I think that's assault. Like I think that falls under the category.
I'll pick it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Until they deck you for touching their stuff.
Until I get beat.
Then that's really assault.
I picked the wrong hat.
I think with Embiid, I think there's a lot more to be gained for Philly fans than there is for Nuggets fans in that. Obviously.
Yeah, we're over it.
Yeah, Jokic is the number one until he's dethroned. So as much as I do like the one-on-one matchup aspect, I just don't know that it would be competitive from a team standpoint. So I just had to get, since Embiid is officially back, I had to get y'all's take. Yep. Let's transition to talk about the Denver Broncos, though. I want to start with this. I can't remember exactly what it was. I sent it to one of the chat. The doctor and I are in yesterday. But the early win-loss total for the Broncos going into next season is 5.5 games. How do we feel about that? It's early. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen in the meantime with the draft and free agency still open, and trades are gonna be popping off during the draft and afterwards. Bree, how are you feeling about that specific projection?
I love talking about the Nuggets and the Avs and like things that we're excited about, and then you're like, but we still have to talk about the Broncos because one, Broncos town, Broncos podcast, Broncos host. But I was dreading it a little bit. Interviewed Mike Kliss very recently, and his take was very optimistic. He was looking at around like the 8 or 9 range, and obviously until the Denver Broncos kind of allude to who's the starting quarterback, because it very well could be Jarrett Stidham, I'm not going to be confident in win totals, but 5.5 seems crazy low. I was expecting 4 to 5 wins last season, just from the get-go. I wasn't expecting them to go on a run, to go on a streak, if you will, with Russell Wilson. No matter what level of improvement we saw, there was no amount of confidence that was going to get me to say, yeah, I'm looking for almost 10 wins from the Denver Broncos. But this season feels particularly up in the air. I think the best way to set the expectations for this year is under the 5.5 total. So dependent on, and this won't change if they draft one of the 6 or 7 quarterbacks that they've been rumored to be interested in. I don't think that putting in that piece is the key piece that solves a lot of these issues. The defense is going to regress, and they're going to take a step back with a lot of the moves. The offense will be serviceable at best, depending on how many weapons they have out there. The Josh Reynolds acquisition, the Cortland Sutton pairing doesn't necessarily make me feel super confident about how the offense is going to function. And so until all of that is ironed out and we're sitting out there at training camp and we're getting an idea of what this is going to look like, I'm not confident. 5.5 wins, I think, is completely reasonable given the Broncos are in that rebuild period. Expecting more than that, I think, is really setting yourself up for failure. And it's what's been happening the last couple, and I would say the last decade of seasons, of saying, well, they're just a quarterback away, or they're just a coach away, or they're just a defense away, and then we plug and play those pieces and it doesn't work out. Right now, you want to see a trend in a direction. If they stand pat and they win 8 games, then I guarantee you the changes this offseason and Sean Payton's ability to run this team and create his identity has worked. And then you want to see them slowly get better. But playoffs are well out of the picture, and 5.5 wins seems, I know it sounds low. I know every time I say it, but I don't have the same expectations that I did of years past if they're going to turn it around this season. I think 5.5 is logistical.
Yeah. Doc, you are known on this program for being the optimistic Broncos fan. What does that number mean to you specifically as the optimistic Broncos fan?
Double it. Just kidding. No, actually, I agree with Bree. It's the first time really where it's like, I don't know. I would say Sean Payton has never had a season less than 7 wins as a head coach. So it's kind of like, do you believe in that, or do you believe in I think if Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback from week 1, this team is in full rebuild, and let's bet the under for sure. I don't know that a rookie would provide more,
right?
But it sure would be more exciting. That's for sure. So I don't know. I don't know that this team is really focused on winning in 2023. We still have a lot of offseason. There's a lot of players available, and especially after the draft, you can start signing guys that won't count against your compensatory formula, which could be very much at play right now. They haven't made any big money moves and have lost some guys for some pretty sizable contracts. So right now they're on the getting some draft capital side of the coin. So I think draft day will be huge. I think that'll really be a telling event towards who is this team going to be and what's their objective in 2023. But as of right now, I do think, Vegas doesn't miss much. That 5.5 is right on. And I think the Broncos have not reached their projected win total like the last 6 years, right? They've been under. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
It is depressing though, Glenn. Like, it's depressing.
It's very depressing.
Yeah.
It's tough,
It's like watching the Rockies with pads on.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that bad. We'll see.
The Broncos have a worse winning percentage over the last 7 years than the Rockies do. So we could
please
say
don't, because
I've
had season tickets for the last 10 years, and if you start calculating those costs and start attributing yourself to being a season ticket holder for the Rockies, we are not the same. We're not we. You are not me. I'm not doing it. Yeah. I'm not comparing myself. I will go into a deep depression. Please don't do this to me, Doc.
All right, I won't say it again. I will not say it again. Penner, you heard it from Bree. Do something different, or who knows? The locust might fly again.
Right? Yeah. Plus, we're talking about how many games are on a baseball season. The math isn't the same. The math isn't the same.
It literally is the same. Winning percentage is the same.
Yeah,
it's percentage of games won.
Yeah, we got sample size and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I was told there'd be no math. No math.
Look, I'm not trying to say that the Broncos are the Rockies, because the Broncos have tried to produce winning. They just haven't. Oh wait, though, the Rockies did that. They signed Chris Bryant, and they just suck at it. So, but this will be the year. You got a guy in Sean Payton who I feel much better about the trajectory of the organization than I do with the Rockies, because essentially it's same old, same old. You don't have baseball guys in baseball positions. At least with the Broncos, there are football guys in the football positions, right? Sean Payton is a football guy, etc. So there is a direction, and they are tight-lipped about it, right? There has not really been a leak of who they like. It has all been perception. So take that for what you will. It's been lock and key. So they got a plan, and I think that Sean Payton knows who his guy is and feels confident that he can get whoever that guy is. That hopefully makes us all feel better. So let's embrace that part, because that's all we got.
I love how Drew Kreisman is in the chat saying, the Rockies are ahead of the Broncos. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Listen, Drew, I forgot you were here when I went on my tirade. I apologize. I didn't mean it. I said it all for the jokes, all for the LOLs and the clips that I need. Because it's an easy target and it's a low-hanging fruit and everybody does it. And that was really lazy of me. So, hi, Drew Kreisman. I hope you're doing well. Go Rockies. I like there's a conversation going around that like Sean Payton is so tight-lipped. He doesn't let anything leak. There's no slips. Well, you do see a lot of contradicting reports out there in which some of the bigger names, which he prefers that higher media sort, you're getting not local coverage, you're getting national level, and you're seeing a little bit of conflicting leaking. Well, that doesn't go with what's on par of what we've heard from Sean Payton. And Sean Payton loves to BS when he talks. And so when you're hearing and interviewing him at the combine and through the draft process, he's never really showing anything. There's no cards, but there's also these hints in certain directions of I wouldn't trust anything that he says outright, but I don't believe that there's not people in the media who haven't kind of heard an idea, because all the draft is, when you start talking about bigger media accounts, is trying to see which teams are going to be not infiltrated, but almost kind of influenced by the movement of conversation. We see it a lot in Broncos country just because that's where we exist the most on Twitter, where it goes from media to fandom, as we're doing in a podcast form, to casual, to memeage, and then IG reel of this, like, oh, now this quarterback's overrated or this quarterback's underrated. And so it's not to say that isn't happening at a higher level with influence from coaches and their preferred media insiders. And so I think there's an idea of where Sean Payton will go. I don't subscribe to the in Payton we trust way of thinking, where it's like, oh, he'll get his guy and he knows exactly who it is. I'd like to see how it plays out and then talk about this present time 3 years from now, when we have the research and the variables to make a proper cause and effect from it. But I guess the vamping is coming from the need to understand it's not the leaks of the John Elway era. Like, don't get me wrong, but I still feel like there is a lot of conversations going around, but Sean Payton runs a ship in which those leaks don't get out in the way that they have in the past. You're not getting the tweets of like, well, I heard last weekend. Like, that's what he's put a limit on, and that's because of the power that he's had and he's built through the league. How he does business is what you're seeing right now. I don't know if it's as tight-lipped as it is, but I do understand the idea that he will get the players that he wants in the fashion that he wants. I just think it's so interesting seeing the conversations of like, you have to be super aggressive, or don't worry, trading back is the best idea for this rebuild that we're undertaking. I don't think Sean Payton is this mastermind that is keeping it close to the vest because it's going to work out exactly as they planned. They're in the same scope as all 32 other NFL teams. They're going to have to play that board as it falls. And it may not be a quarterback that they get to take, because I don't think you're really salivating over a Bo Nix or maybe JJ McCarthy's his dude, but there's a long line ahead of you. So I guess I'm getting a lot of therapy right now by going on this rant, because there's a streamline of information, and Broncos country and fans and media alike are kind of like, what side do you fall on? It's like, we're not at war. We're all on the same team. We're all guessing as you are, because none of us honestly know. And the right answer doesn't exist. It's going to be the process in which you choose. If you draft a quarterback, let's say you go after a JJ McCarthy, then you have to put the time and effort to understanding that that is a process and a project, and that a first-round pick is never a guarantee on return on investment. So if you go and you get a mid-round, or you go with Jarrett Stidham, all of those are even playing fields. You can guess, you can sit there and twiddle your fingers at 10:30 at night on doom scrolling on Twitter and go, well, you know what, if they went with a Kirk Cousins, we'd all be screwed. You don't know that. And you don't know until you plug and play and we see how the season ends. And so I just like to put that out there, because it's an interesting dichotomy that I wasn't aware of, because I've only been covering the team for a handful of years, of how bought in people are on what process is the best. And it's different for every team. It's not going to be the same team 10 years ago. After when Peyton Manning lost, the idea of that, like, how are we going to attack the draft and how are we going to build this team up from there, is not the same as it was now. And I think that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it fun. But also, let's lighten up a little bit and realize that we're all just kind of trying to figure out how we're going to respond to it when it does ultimately happen.
Lighten up. You can't fandom and lighten up. It's just it's not possible.
You can't. Go touch grass. Go outside.
go touch grass. So here's my rebuttal. I think Sean Payton absolutely believes Sean Payton knows what Sean Payton's doing, and that things are going to work out for Sean Payton, because Sean Payton is smart. I think that Sean Payton believes all of that. I will agree with you that we don't know that it's going to play out that way, but I think Sean Payton thinks he knows how it's going to play out, and he wants to tell all of us how smart he is along the way. So there is a plan. Whether or not it'll work, we don't even know if they execute a plan on Thursday that would be the plan that he was thinking of, and he won't tell us whether or not he was wrong, right? He's not gonna come out and be like, actually, I thought it was gonna go this way, but it went this way, and we took whatever guy. Nope, it's gonna be that was our guy all along. We've been targeted him from the get-go, right? That's what they say every year. Every guy that you draft in the first round is the guy you targeted. I'm fascinated because I don't know what direction Sean Payton would go, because we've never seen him in a spot where he needs to address the quarterback position long-term. This is really kind of the first time. So none of us even know what that looks like, right? He ran into Drew Brees at the same time, and he coached with him forever. So this will be the first time that he's walking into a situation and they need a guy to do what he needs to get done. So I'm fascinated more than anything. Like I believe that he has confidence in getting it right. I don't know if I'm confident in his confidence, but I think he's confident. So I'm excited to see what that looks like, because all of us are kind of guessing. Like you said, Bree, nailed it on the head. It's like the topic of the month. How many times do you think over the last week after Washington's pro day did everyone's mock draft change to how do we get Michael Penix? Right? Because he ran a sub 4 540. Like our opinions go in the wind based on, shiny objects, right? Like
how fun is it though? Because you could plant a seed.
It is so fun. It is
in an ironic matter. You could accidentally mention a certain NFL wide receiver and then start this domino effect of how, and everyone's like, I didn't even know this was in play. And it's like, it wasn't. Yep. We were having a very up in the clouds conversation of what that would look like, because I'm sick and tired of talking about the same thing over and over again. And then you realize that you've started a massive war on something that hasn't even been floated as an idea. But I think that's what you need to drum up. So I'm going to plant a seed that the Broncos actually have to, go after like a special teams player to really just
get a gunner.
Flip the switch on the season. Yeah, like, because above all else,
it's a 30-year-old kid on his 7th year of eligibility that just goes down on punts.
I think that honestly, it's like where you have to start in order. If you're building from the inside out and you've got your trenches covered, which I know we'll talk about at some point, still a need, still an inevitability. But if we're not talking about the nitty gritty resources of a wide receiver 3 and a check down master outside of Samaje Perine, we've got issues. And so I think that, why not draft a punter?
I'm saying
go punter heavy, maybe 2. Doc, I want to ask you this as the always optimistic Broncos fan.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem for me getting excited about this draft is the draft position. I would feel better if we had a top 5 pick. Obviously, that didn't happen. I would feel better about Sean Payton's getting his guy. We've talked about him getting his guy if that were the case, and maybe I would be more trusting of the process. Do you see them being aggressive going for a quarterback, or do you think that they sit where they're at, or potentially move back? Do you think it's important that they get a quarterback this season? Is probably the better question.
So from my logistic, as a fan, I'm ready for them pouring the resources into one guy and let's see it through. Right? It's what we wanted kind of with Drew Lock. It's like that, like where he's our quarterback, not he's on loan from someone else.
Right.
That said, I don't think that they need one. I think you have to get the right one. So if they go swinging they draft Bo Nix at 12, I'll be pissed. Is it possible? Sure. Could it work out? Absolutely. That said, it'd be terrible, because I think with the run on quarterbacks and tackles, they have a chance to get a really damn good football player, right? I'm on the Bowers bandwagon. I think if they were able to get Brock Bowers, a guy that can be a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle, that's game changing. That makes average quarterbacks. I mean, look at Jimmy Garoppolo when he was in San Francisco. Like, he was good, kind of. But then you can win with that guy. You can get Jared Stidham. You can get, because you have a guy that's such a generational mismatch at an area that just is so difficult to defend anyway. So you pass that up for the 5th best quarterback or what it might be. I think that's how organizations get burned to the ground. Sean Payton's going to be here for a while, so I don't think he has to rush this. So if they have an opportunity to get their guy within reason, you trade up to maybe 8 max. Sweet. Like, go get him if that's your guy, because that means you're going to commit to him. It's first round guy. He's going to get 3 years. You're going to build the offense around him versus a second or third round guy where it's like, you got to pick up what we're doing and earn your right to play. So I think that they should either get Bowers or trade back. That would be my want to. I think that there's some guys in the later rounds that could be serviceable options with some really good coaching. And then you play it by ear next year, right? You keep going until the prime opportunity presents itself. Will they do that? Like, I don't know, because Sean Payton's aggressive. He does not value the draft as many bullets as possible. So George Payton does. He values, I want 8 to 10 picks every year. More picks, more bullets, more opportunities to hit. Sean Payton has been, I want to get the player I want, right? Whether that's Patrick Turner, whether that's, Davenport. They traded multiple firsts to get those guys. That didn't really work out necessarily, but he wants what he wants, and he's going to go get it. And the draft is essentially just, it's burnable cash to them. It's not, reoccurring funds that you're going to use to kind of replenish your roster. So how they manage it on Thursday, April 25th at 6:00 at the Rock, that's going to be huge. And it will really be telling about, one, where they think the organization is, and what plans do they have moving forward. And whether or not they're smarter than us. I think all of us could say, like, Knicks or Penix at 12 is probably not a really good play. And really, before 2 weeks ago, McCarthy at 12 was a super big stretch. So now it's like you said, Bree, the narrative gets things pushed up and like, oh my goodness, like he's going to go number 2 now. What? Wow. And so there's that. And then if they do that, which all of us would disagree with those moves, and then it works out, we got egg on our face. That's another telling thing about how smart is Sean Payton, and can he make his smart investment actually work? And so we don't know how that's going to look. That part is exciting. It's frightening because I don't want to be the Rockies and we give a whole bunch of money to Chris Bryant and that we still suck. So I don't want them to like invest in a quarterback and it doesn't work. We still suck. So that would be great if we could just not suck. And so I think that that's what I would want them to do. Brock or bust. Get yourself move back into the second round. Grab Michael Pratt, who isn't going to throw a ton of deep balls, but can facilitate an offense. You're not married to that guy, but there's enough upside to be able to see what you got, and then see what we got cooking next year.
Yeah.
I think that's important, Doc. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. The salination point of the news cycle that we've reached is now I think catching up with the scouting level of all of that information has trickled out to the point where we've reached a balancing. So now we're floating on top of that. But I agree with that, Doc. I think that that's the smartest ways to do. So if you take a swing and that's not your guy and you don't have full trust that it was worth that 12th, then or moving up above, because obviously these quarterbacks and a lot of these teams are quarterback needy, that if you're not getting the 3 or if you're not getting the top 2, anything else is really stretching. But I don't know if I can stand another cycle because a cornerback is a need for the Denver Broncos. Could you imagine if in this present state they went and drafted another cornerback with a top 15 pick, that the reaction, although it's a necessity when we talk about how
and a premium position, not even just necessity. That's one of the highest paid positions in the NFL. So if you have first round picks, you should put it there. Yeah. No,
and we've seen the run too with safety and understanding that market has changed. But on the other side, you got the defensive back need, that the injuries you can never have enough cornerbacks. And if a guy's there, now don't ask me who would fall into that category, but if the need is there, the want is there, and maybe you can trade back into just the 20th position, then you're in a much better place, because the quarterback is not the end all be all. It is not the starting point or the foundation for building a team. Plugging those players in and creating an opportunity in which your guy can come in and flourish. Don't get a Justin Fields and then squander him. And I'm not saying Justin Fields is a generational talent, but he's talented.
Right.
And he's able to do the things that you want him to do, but not when he's running for his life. So
they essentially wasted those 3 years, right? There was no plan. They brought him in, square peg, round hole, and wasted an opportunity to see what they had. You're nailing it. Couldn't be more. Make sure it's the guy that fits. You have a plan for them. and you're willing to execute it. Like, just have a plan and see it through. We just haven't seen a quarterback plan saw through since Peyton, right? Like, that was the plan.
There wasn't a plan. That
was plan A. There is no plan B.
There's
no plan B. I'm scared. I'm a little scared, guys. I'm scared.
Yeah, Chris looks scared too. How many next years do we have to endure this, though? What's the breaking point? 10 years, 20. So we're in 10. Are you saying 10 more additional years, 20 more additional years? Because I could see us turning into the Browns. I could see it happening. And I'm not saying I'm not.
You got mad at me for my Rockies comment, and you're going to throw in the Browns here?
Well, it's not unilateral. It's not. I don't have the same Guardians like I don't hold them in my arms as though I would the Rockies. Like, that's still my team. Like, it's still my
hold the Rockies or just the rooftop. Let's keep it real.
I don't
we
drink,
hug the rooftop.
so I don't know. Like, I'm not a partier. I don't do that anymore. I'm done. I've retired. Larry brought up like the opening day Jets game. We're never going to talk about that again. But
you don't remember.
I'm surprised too. So that was my retirement party.
Yeah, for sure. Mine too.
Anyways, I got derailed there. Sorry, got off. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got.
Just 20 years. I think that you could see it happening. You could see if the same mistakes of the past are repeated.
Yep.
However, I think this is a good sign right now that things are headed at least in an anticipated direction of getting to see something change. Do I think it's going to work out in the long run? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but this is what you want to see when you want change.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's difficult for me to wrap my brain around because I'm not. Me and Doc have had this conversation multiple times about tanking, about whether you should throw a season away to put yourself in a better position, and like Chris in the comments said, like, how long what's the breaking point, right? How long do we sit at middle of the road draft picks until we find gold? And it's just a difficult road to travel, and I'm not sure what the right answer is. And again, just talking about the draft and that draft position, you trade back, you get assets, you get talented players. Maybe you don't get the quarterback of the future. I think that's the way to go right now, because it also potentially could help you align the draft more favorably next year.
Yeah.
And maybe you get a shot at one of those top tier quarterbacks, maybe a Shedeur Sanders, someone like that. That's going to have some hype and some buzz, and obviously some celebrity that's already in the state that's going to pop off even more next offseason. So it'll be interesting to see what they do ultimately. I'm not sure what the correct answer is, but I think we'll all be keeping our ears to the ground as things progress. Let's do you have a second, Bree, to talk a little bit Colorado Avalanche before we let you go?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
So the Avs are in the hunt for first place. They are first place in the division, I should say, and the West. They've been a fun team to watch. Nathan McKinnon's obviously your front runner for MVP as of right now. Let's talk a little bit about it. And the Doc and I have talked, so I'm going to kick it to Bree. We have Nikola Jokic, who's the best player in basketball. I don't think that's really an argument right now. Nathan McKinnon is peaking probably right now, the hottest he's ever been in his career. Potentially have two MVP players coming out of playing in the same building. It's a shame that fans can't watch those games more frequently unless they're nationally televised for a lot of them. But just how has this experience been for you as a fan watching the Colorado Avalanche kind of repeat, or kind of not repeat, but come back into that cup form after a disappointing season last year?
It was disappointing because you thought, how could they not come back and
right.
have a back-to-back? Because it's so easy, the 97, 98 Super Bowl runs, entirely so easy for the Broncos to get done. Why can't the Avs go back-to-back? Why can't the Nuggets go back? So I know it seems like spoiled fan attitude, but this is basically mini Boston. So let's get it straight. It's been fun to watch, and you've alluded to it. It's really hard that, local coverage can be so spotty that it takes away the ability to really hone in and like sit down and run those games all the time. I've not seen every Nuggets game and I've not seen every Avalanche game simply for that reason. And I'm not going to turn this into a political rant of how I think media should function, but it is disappointing when you've got such dominant hockey and basketball going on that the state is limited to how it can see that happen. And I know everyone says, well, buy another streaming package and make it happen. Let's be realistic about what that means for a lot of people who are outside your privilege. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that it's not that simple. However, now that I have the ability to speak on the team itself, it's super exciting to watch MacKinnon go ahead and have the run that he's having. I believe tied now for points, so not the sole proprietor of that dominant statistic. But whenever there's a player that comes into the state, we've seen it with Jokic, we saw it with Elway, then we saw it again with Manning because we're spoiled. Remember that, Denver? And there's a lot of players in between too where you go, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is on our team. MacKinnon to me is one of those players. I'm not talking Mount Rushmores. I don't like that conversation. I don't like choose the four of the no. MacKinnon gets to live up there in infamy with being that dominant. And then you have a bevy of other talent on that roster that's really exciting to watch. And they become more dominant as the season goes on. We saw them slouch a little bit last season. After a championship, you know that you're going to have some purges, some losses, and that you're going to lose some players. But what I've liked from the Avalanche too is they've been able to pick up a lot of talent and can and maintain consistency. Because at the end of the day, you can be as flashy as you want. You can go after the most high-priced options. You can get rid of your stars and say that they've run their toll. But when you stick with your core and you add the pieces necessary to create a lot of success in perpetuity, I think that's what the Avalanche are doing. And that's why it's fun to root for them, because it's not just a flash in the pan. They're not picking up steam out of nowhere. I hope the Bruins fall. That's the Boston team I don't care for, so get them out of the way. So I'll join in on the hate there. But it's fun. It's fun to watch the Avalanche when I'm able to do so. I was there for the parade. I was there for the night they won over at the DNVR bar. That was a ton of fun. I'm a sports fan at heart, and anytime a Colorado team is being dominant, don't count me out. So whenever the Rockies come around to it, Drew, you'll see me there. I'll wave to you. That is if I can afford a ticket anywhere in that stadium when the time comes.
Fair enough.
Oh, nailed it. Hey, way to bring that Boston back full circle. I'm a little worried about the Avs because the goalie play has been, and I mean, it's 2 years ago all over again, right? This team's going to have to win in spite of their goalie. To expect that average goalies can give you phenomenal play for 16 games, right, to win the Stanley Cup when they haven't been doing it throughout the year. It's rough to be able to say. However, they're pretty damn good, and having an opportunity to watch them a few times, and because I don't have that, I'm privileged for sure. I use someone else's direct TV stream. I am excited for both of these teams to be able to get in the playoffs. I think the Avs and the Nuggets are both exhibiting symptoms of like senioritis. Like they're just the regular season. Like, can we just get done so we can go do our work now? And I like that in the sense that team knows the objective, right? It's not to finish first in points. It's not seeding. It's to go into the playoffs and produce. And a good chunk of those guys are back. They made really good trade deadline acquisitions that have meshed with the team really well. So it went from a really dysfunctional team from the jump in the first month to a really cohesive group that's playing pretty phenomenal hockey. So I think both of these squads will be playing in late May. And hopefully they're both playing in June. I think they will. I think both of them are going to win their championships. And I believe wholeheartedly that we will have 2 MVPs out of that building.
Yeah. I mean, what more beautiful thing is there, right? I mean,
I know that we talked about it last time, and we were like, we should probably look it up. And again, I didn't look it up, but I don't know how many times you get MVPs of major sporting leagues in the same town during the same season, let alone like the same seasonal season. Holy crap. It's special. And I hope that people appreciate it because I know this won't happen much, if ever, again. And it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. I think that wraps us today. Bree, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you being here and giving us. I know you like you said, you have a busy schedule.
Literally the best.
Nice.
Literally the best.
I'll always make time when I can. I know sometimes it was really funny. I'm just going to give this is that Doc had texted me. I was like, yeah, let's do it. He gave me a date and I said, yeah, that works. That never happens. It is never okay. Yeah, absolutely. It was just boom, done. And that's why I know it was meant to be. If I have to fight too hard for anything, it's not supposed to be in my life. So I'll leave you with that tidbit. It was good to see you both. It's been too long. And thank you for giving me the time.
Well, perhaps we'll have to come visit you at The Rock on April 25th.
Please do.
As should everyone. If you're in the area, come check it out, or at least join the stream so you can get some good breakdown.
Or join the stream while you're there. Help them with the algorithm. Like, subscribe, smash, comment, all that good stuff.
I want to see everybody on their phone. Like, don't talk to me. Just be commenting on your phone.
Yeah, just comment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to talk to you than just through the chat, right?
I'm scared of people, man. Don't approach me in public.
Sure.
Like, we're fighting if you do.
Yeah. Fair, same.
No, for real, she will physically.
A lot more safer behind the screen.
Or I'll have somebody else eat you. I don't know. Like, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Well, thank you again, Bree. We appreciate your time today. And as for everyone else, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your guys' time as well, whether you be at home or at work or in your car. Thanks for checking us out today.
Sure.
And don't forget, if you need a sports prescription, you should call a doctor. Bye. Have a good day.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.